All right, everybody, I'm super excited. I have my great coaching client, Mr. Avi Becker, up in Santa Barbara. I asked Avi today to share with us some about his journey as a young man who jumped into real estate and has become successful within the last year. And so I think this would be really valuable for some of my young agents out there who are looking for some advice, some quality inspiration, and even some of my veterans on how to become more coachable and kick some butt. So Avi, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I'm really appreciative. So could you share with the audience here a little bit about kind of your journey in real estate to kind of where you are today? Like, where did you start? How'd you get here? And then kind of what our goals are for you in 2021. So give us a quick little background on who you are and what you're all about, man.
Yeah, I'm Avi. I'm 25 years old and I live in beautiful Santa Barbara. How I got into real estate, I'm from Boulder, Colorado, but I went to UC Santa Barbara. And I knew I kind of wanted to do something entrepreneurial, at least salesy. And I was applying to I wanted to stay in Santa Barbara, and I applied to all the tech companies for like sales roles. And I got rejected from literally all of them. So I hit up someone I knew who was in the business of real estate. I had met him a couple years ago when I was a trainer at a gym, and he kind of let me come in and shadow him and start helping him with his social media, just as a social media assistant.
Nice.
And then from there, I got to learn the biz, and I really liked it and liked the freedom and the people skills. And it was fun to really watch him because he's a great agent. That's Joe. Big shout out to Joe. And so I got my license as soon as I could, basically January of 2019. So I'm coming up on 2 years in the business officially now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what was, year number one all about?
Yeah. Year number one, I was like, I'm going to crush it. I got my license. My goal was to receive a commission by the end of February. So not just like sell a house, but like close a deal by the end of February. Mm-hmm. And it took me until November to close a deal. And I was doing open houses every weekend. I was door knocking. I was cold calling, and man, it was tough. It was a great big slice of humble pie because I really, I thought I had the work ethic, and my first year was pretty brutal. I drove Lyft to help pay the bills. I was eating ramen, and just trying to scrounge up some money to go to the grocery store. I didn't want to ask my parents for much help, and I just really wanted to. It was my first year basically living on my own since college, and I wanted to really try to make it. But man, it was so much harder than I thought, and a very humbling experience that makes me extra grateful to be where I'm at now.
Cool. Yeah. And so, and thanks for sharing that. And then let's fast forward to this year, which is you completed your second year this year?
Yeah.
Cool. So tell everybody where you ended up with number of units, sales volume, and gross commission.
Totally. So number of units, me and the team, I'm part of a two-person team, and some units we kind of work on together and some are separate. But I believe I know my volume goal. I did $22.5 million in real estate sales in Santa Barbara. Nice. And I think I did about 14 transactions. And the GCI on that, I'm not 100% sure because of the splits and how everything goes, but 2.5%, give or take. So exactly. It's been definitely more money than I made.
It's a good amount of money.
Yeah, it's been a good year for sure. And yeah, I'm super fortunate and blessed. Cool. Yeah.
And we're going to come back to year one, maybe some lessons and some lessons in year two. But what, for context for the group, what is your goal for 2021?
30 million is the goal. Yeah. 20 million was the goal for 2020. And I was like, should I do 21 million for 2021? But I was like, no, let's make it big. I got it right up here. I look at it every day. My chart is empty right now. We have an escrow closing soon though, so I'll fill it in for the first one. But yeah, 30 million. I mean, I just like to set the goals that kind of scare me and excite me, and it's fun to come in and look at that every day. And I remember how it was when I'd come into my office after doing one deal in 2019 and look at my chart for 20 million in 2020 and being like, is there any way this is possible? And little by little started to fill in, and it's really fun to end up actually exceeding that goal.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Congratulations on all your success. So, hey, tell me, what is the most important lesson that you learned kind of looking back now at that first year? Literally one sale in your first year. What's the most important thing you learned in that year?
Yeah, I think the humbling experience there really taught me how to be patient and just how to not give up. And I knew I was doing the right things and making some momentum. And especially when I got into coaching with you, that was, I believe, in June of 2019.
Mhm.
That's when the momentum really started to roll in. And real estate's one of those businesses where it's like, you're not going to get that. If you have a great day at work, the payoff isn't going to be the next day. You know, it's going to be 3, 6 months, even sometimes a year, sometimes 2 years down the road. So I really like to have things, you know, and especially in our day and age, everything's instant, everything's automatic, and everything is just grab and go. But that was a really great lesson of how to stay patient, but not give up and get discouraged.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think most people can relate to that. I think a lot of people quit real estate too soon and or flip flop around with trying this, trying that, and never get deep enough, right?
So cool.
So what would you say is kind of, you know, your secret sauce? You know, like what was it that caused you in year one to barely create any results, but in year two really create some serious sales, some big listings, some
Yeah.
big, you know, kind of what would you say is kind of the secret sauce of that?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it, going deep. And also just, I kind of had that mindset when I really started to work with you. I didn't try to think that I knew it all and like you were wrong. I really listened to the advice that you gave me, and I really executed on it. And even if there was multiple failures, like when I first started doing expireds, I had no success, but I kept kind of tweaking it. And I just trusted that if other people can do it, if you're telling me, you know, how it's worked for you and for your other clients, if I keep practicing and keep improving, that'll work for me. So, you know, I think that it's really important to, you know, I kind of like it to think of the example, if you were to try to learn how to fly a plane or do something really complex, you're not going to, you know, say no to the person that's an expert at it and say, oh, I probably can figure this out on my own. Like real estate's really tough and really complex. So when I came into coaching and also from, you know, my teammates, like I really came in with the mindset, like, I don't know jack squat, and I'm going to listen to what Coach Pat does and what my mentors do, and I'm going to implement on it until I can figure it out. And I'm not just going to kick it to the curb when it doesn't work. And I remember my first time out door knocking, I got door slammed in my face, like old ladies being like, who is this? And in my head, I wanted to be like, there's no way this works. But because I didn't get one freaking lead from like 2 hours of walking around the streets. But, you know, I stayed with it. I got better at it. I listened to the people that tell me, no, it works. You just got to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's what really helped me, is being able to go deep and not give up, right?
Yeah, 100%. If I reflect back to, you know, there was many, we did a lot of role play sessions. You know, there was so, you know, for guys out there, if you're not doing role play with your coach and your mentor, it's like, Avi, what did they say? And you were like, they said this, or what did they say? Or how did you say this? And then
Yeah.
what was the response? And then we just tried to start crafting and thinking about what's the absolute best thing that you can say the next time that would move the needle and get the results. So what was your number one source of business in 2020?
2020 was expireds for sure.
Yeah,
Over
baby.
half my volume was from expireds. Boom. Yeah. I mean,
Average sales price of the expired that you took, roughly.
um, I would say 1.5 probably. And you
Yeah.
know, I had a 2.5 that I represented both sides on. So it's like the expireds also brought the buyers, like from all those agents that I talked to in the Tom Ferry network and stuff like that. Like these agents that aren't doing expireds, I'm just like, you're leaving piles of dough on the table, because it is a very bountiful lead source in my opinion. And a lot of people don't like to do it because, you know,
What do you think that is though? But why do you think that is? Why do you think people kind of have resistance around the expired conversation?
I totally understand where it is. And I kind of think I've found a way to maybe help people reframe it. So a lot of people, when I tell them, you know, do expireds, they say, first of all, these people don't like realtors, or they've been hit up by every other realtor in town, you know. And I get that, where it's like you have that preconceived notion that you're going to get rejected. I think that's why people don't want to, people would rather work with people they know already and rather work with people that know them. And in my mind, you know, when I first started expireds, maybe I kind of definitely had that too. And then as I kind of progressed and really learned from you and started to help expireds like actually sell their house the second time, or maybe it's the third time sometimes. Now my mindset was, if I'm calling Patrick the expired, I'm thinking in my head, Patrick needs my help, because last year I sold, you know, 9 homes that were expired. And I can help him get to where wants to go. You know, if he doesn't want to actually sell, and if he only wants a crazy price, I probably can't help him. But if he's a real seller and he needs someone great, like that, I'm the guy for the job. So that's what I try to tell other people when they come to me and say, how do you do expireds? Like, I'm like, just go attack it from a place of empathy and a place of like actually being of service. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to do these people a huge favor, because they're really frustrated from how it went last time, obviously.
Yeah. have you had to deal with any like heavy frustration on the phone? Like, did you ever deal with any kind of adversarial that turned around and was successful?
For sure, yeah. There's definitely been expired where, um, like one, it wasn't super adversarial, but one, he went back with his original agent, and I had been following up with him for about a year and a half, and it expired again from with the original agent. He basically told me, no, I'm sticking with my guy, and so I see it expires again, and just call him back up and say what happened, and he's like, yeah, it just didn't work out. He wasn't giving me the effort I needed to. We met with him, and we closed on that one in December for 2.5 million. I mean. And so all the time people tell me to hang up and never call back. And, you face a lot of rejection, but the success so outweighs the like minus the minuscule minutes or seconds of rejection of someone slamming the phone.
Yeah.
For sure. Cause
Yeah.
it's so awesome. I've made clients that are now great friends. I go have like dinner at their house, like all from picking up the phone completely cold.
Nice. I love it. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So there's some grit in there that's really kind of makes the difference with prospecting,
Yeah.
between grit, skills, and then that mindset there at the end, right? Like there to serve, make a difference, solve the problem. But man, wait a minute. So you followed up with an expired for a year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
On average, so kind of give, for those that are kind of in the prospecting game that want to jump in here, right? Since we're on the topic, would you say, like from the first time that you talk to them, on average, how many times are you following up with someone roughly before you're getting a listing appointment? And, from a listing appointment to kind of a contract sign,
For
with
sure.
the expired group on average, kind of what are you seeing as a trend for yourself?
For sure. I think so. It's definitely a wide range. There's been times, every time I'm on the phone doing, calling these expireds, I want to set the appointment on the phone if that could work. And there's been times where I've set the appointment that day on the phone, meet with them at that house later that week and sign the contract. And then there's also been the times where I'm following up, 10 plus times over a year and a half. I would say on average, if I have a good conversation with someone on the phone, I could have an appointment within 2 to 3 months and maybe have a signed contract with 4 to 6 months. But obviously everyone's timing is different. And a lot of times people, what they'll do is they won't sell and they'll get a tenant in there. But it's really important to keep following up even when they have that tenant. So, if I have a great conversation with you, let's say, Patrick, you're my expired, and you're nice to me, we have a great conversation. You're like, yeah, touch me, we'll chat down the road when my tenant moves out. I might send you a handwritten note, and I might keep you up to date with the market once a month,
Nice.
just to show you that, hey, I'm the guy who's going to provide the value. And last time you were with agent X and he didn't provide the level of service that I'm going to bring. And but by the time we're ready to sign the contract, you're already kind of stoked on my service. I'm actually just launching an expired. It's going to hit the market Thursday or Friday for 1.1. And I'd followed up with her for over a year because she had a tenant in there as well. And I'd never even met her in person. So she lives in Arizona, and she came here, and I met her for the first time on Sunday. But it was always like almost like we were great friends already because we've been
Nice.
in touch so much.
Beautiful. That's exactly. I found that was the case, but there's a mindset or an attitude that when people try this thing out, which you shouldn't do, you got to commit to it. But when they
Yeah.
try it out, they're like, oh man, I made calls. I talked to a lot of people. I didn't get any appointments. And then they just quit, 30 days, 60 days into it. But what's interesting is they probably had 2 or 3 opportunities that they had a good conversation with. It just never led in anything definitive that if they would have followed up with, they'd probably have those listings, but they
So
quit too
true.
early. They quit too early. So, let's talk listing presentation, right? You're in a high end niche market, taking, listings. What's the most important thing you've learned in the listing presentation skill set? Obviously, you've got a great team to support you with that, but any good lessons to the group?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think this came from you as well as maybe some other people in the TF group, but it's just really to not be salesy and to be a consultant. Like I always try in my listing presentations to make sure that the people sitting across the table from me or the living room, they're going to do the majority of the talking. And I'm going to ask very selective, precise questions and listen super intently. I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm not going to be dozing off or looking at other parts, but I'm locked in just saying, Patrick, I'm here to listen to you and listen to all the problems you've had, especially when they're expired and they've had a lot of problems in the past. My favorite go-to question I ask every time, and if you're not asking this question on your listing presentation, you're missing out, is, hey, Patrick, as a listing agent, what's the one thing or three things that I can do to be of most service to you? Like, what's most important to you and the person that you're going to choose to hire you? That
Nice.
question is gold.
Boom.
And then from there, it's, you can really customize your response to be like, Patrick wants a lot of social media. You can kind of talk more about that. But when I first started, I had a couple total botched listing presentations where I was like, I can do this for you. I can do this for you. I can do this for you. And it's like,
Yeah.
probably 99% of the stuff I was saying, these sellers did not give a crap about, because each seller is so unique. So if you go into it being a consultant, being like, tell me everything I need to know, and then I cannot waste your time and just touch on the things that are important. I don't have a super flashy presentation. I definitely bring all my recent sales on a map and my Zillow reviews, and talk about some other marketing things, but I don't have a very flashy presentation. I really am just there to listen, honestly.
Nice. That works.
Yeah, it
Love it,
works
man.
really well.
Yeah, that's so powerful for people to hear, right? That's really well said. Awesome, man. So, what do you, I would say, let's go over to kind of coaching in general, right? Like, what's the most important thing that you've learned about coaching inside of the Tom Ferry world, right? There's me, but there's also this
Yeah.
whole other world. What have you taken from the group, the community, the ecosystem?
Great question. And I think it's just in the ecosystem, there's so many people who are willing to put themselves out there and help. And I'm one of them. I love to post and just, talk about if the people need help to just hit me up. There's so many people out there to help you out if you're in this ecosystem, or me. I still reach out for help all the time. I'm actually going to be meeting up with Mark Pattinson and some other people to mastermind. And there's so many resources out there, but the key is to really be humble and to be open to new ideas. Because I see so many people, they really do think they know it all, even if let's say they've been in the business for a while, or let's say they came out of college with a flashy degree. Like, really being able to be open and listen, and not just listen, but implement the ideas that you're hearing. I think that's what was the game changer for me. And I remember having those conversations with you. And if you, I can look at my notebooks, but I've written down your responses to, I've been like, Patrick, I got this. I write it down and I study it, and then I implement it, and it just works. So for all these people that, we've heard stories, people, they sign up, they coach with you or they coach with someone else, and they're just not even doing the suggestions you have. And then they come back to you and say, it's not working. It's just like, just do what he says, man. I'm living proof. Like, I didn't invent any of the things that I'm doing. I'm just listening to Patrick. I'm like, he's the head coach, and I'm the player, and I'm just taking the play and just trying to run it to the best of my ability, but I'm not coming up with anything magic or secret.
Yeah, but well, compliments too. You're actually taking the idea and then making it better, customizing it, putting it into motion, putting it on the field, testing it, and then coming back and giving feedback, right? Which that's really, if there was a mindset that I want more people to do, is like, do that. Like, just go grab the idea, throw it on the field, see what happens, give the feedback, go add your creative spin or juice to it when appropriate, and it will work really well. So no, I love it, man. That's really
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
That's what I appreciate about you. I honestly think that you're like a mad scientist, always tinkering and always creating new concoctions. And every time we jump on the phone for a coaching call, like, I'm just excited to see what new idea you've come up with, because it's really golden. They all work, whether it's, the using Sierra, using
The farm strategy is going to be really
the
exciting in
farm
2021.
strategy, the just sold calling. Like, that's like, it's such innovative, cool, easy, to implement tactics. And like, just for example, people know Patrick, they probably heard of the property radar system, but he gave this system and this idea to me. And within 2 hours of implementing it, like my second call session, I set up a listing appointment, and it was like, Patrick is literally just alley-ooping me these ideas. So I just got to slam it down.
Hey,
A lot of
you
sports
took
stuff.
action. That guys and gals out there, like, listen. The thing is when I give the idea, it's the execution and implementation is the difference. That's what's actually really interesting. I was listening to Donald Miller's Marketing Made Simple book, and it's funny, this morning, and that's exactly what he said. He's like, marketing's not that complicated. It's just those that take the most action are always going to be the winners. And I think, that's, if there's one thing that I learned from you, is just the execution, right? Getting on the field, just getting in action is the game.
So
Okay.
true.
So what are you excited about in 2021, right? What do you want to share with people about 2021? And, is there anything that, kind of some parting words here? Because I think what you just said was beautiful. And that's exactly the message that I want for a lot of great, younger kind of hungry, humble, smart agents out there. I want them to hear that message, right? So what's some parting words? What are you excited about in 2021?
Yeah, in 2021, I'm really excited because I feel like in 2020, me and the team, we built a really rock solid foundation. It was all of our best years in the business. So obviously this year's off to a, crazy start if you look at the media, but we're unshaken and we're going to keep serving our people to the best of our abilities, no matter what the media is out, the headlines are out there, and we're just going to be out there to serve, after how crazy 2020 was. We still feel like we'll be able to weather the storm and keep doing what we love to do, which is to help people with real estate in town. So I'm really excited to reach for new goals, implement new strategies, and hopefully it would be awesome to get to host an open house or door knock again if things really go back to normal. But that's just like a cherry on top. But I'm really excited to just hopefully, one thing I really want to do this year as well is share more knowledge and help, whether it's mentor or coach younger entrepreneurs, and kind of, just like how you give back so much value to me, I would love to kind of pass that along, because like just doing something like this, if someone can get value from this and change their business, change their life, that's awesome to me. That's amazing.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. And the couple of things that I'm excited about with Avi this year is we're going to take on a really killer geographic farm. We're going to dramatically up his digital marketing, meaning his socials on point, LinkedIn, Instagram's crushing. So find him on there, right? Make sure you give him all your information on where to find you. YouTube videos just started taking off at the end of last year. So it's going to be, he's created a killer Facebook group with Joe as partner of the Santa Barbara group around small businesses, and that Facebook group's taken off. So there's some infrastructure there, right? Some agent referrals from participating in lots and lots of good agent communities. Man, there's a whole digital footprint that's getting really exciting. So it's going to be exciting to watch, guys. So follow Avi on, check out his YouTube, his LinkedIn, his Instagram, and I think there's going to be some really exciting stuff there. And then, of course, just, crushing the phones as you do. So foundation is set, everybody. Now we can work on some of the cool digital branding. And now we can go take on a new initiative called the Geographic Farm, which has a longer term big play, but it's going to be exciting, right? And you got a little Zillow spend going as well, which is which is cool, right?
Yeah, for sure. And if you're watching this and you have questions about expireds, or you just literally want to jump on a phone call and ask me questions, DM me at Avi Becker on Instagram or Avi Becker on Facebook. And yeah, I can't have enough good things to say about coaching with Pat. So if you're not in coaching, or if you've been thinking about making the move, man, this year is the year to get in and go all in on it, because coaching, it's literally the most ROI you could ever imagine of any investment. Yeah, so I cannot recommend that enough. But I'd love to just chat with anyone that's watching this. Pat has a big network.
I'll put all your contact information in the description below, so you guys can reach out to Avi, give him a virtual high five. You're the man, brother. I appreciate you and everything you've done so far, and keep rocking. And then let's make 2021 even better.
Much love. Appreciate you, Pat. Thanks for having me on, brother.